This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The hosts are not trained professionals, and their opinions come from personal experience, not professional training. In this episode, we discuss fictional depictions of trauma and violence that may not be suitable for all listeners, so please take care of yourselves. Specific content warnings for each episode can be found in the show notes. Events in the media are discussed in approximate order of escalation. This episode contains spoilers. Hey everybody. Unfortunately, this week we only have 2 out of 3 recorded topics for you. Our overview at the end does cover all 3 of the ones that we had originally recorded, but we had a problem with our audio for our first topic not syncing up, and I have put in multiple hours of editing to try and make all of our things that we've said make sense as enough to be in the episode. And it is just not coming together. If I manage to fix it in the future, we will probably release it as like bonus content on our Patreon. We'll be back next time with all 3 topics, and you should be good to go. Thank you very much for your understanding. So Farron is part of the Athask people, and there's multiple times in her scenes in the book where we see her take an injury and essentially do her best to either ignore it because other things are more important, or deliberately not show how bad it is. This actually works to her disadvantage, because there's a couple of times where her injuries, if they were taken more seriously immediately, could have actually gotten her the help that she needs faster. I'm specifically thinking about if the fisherman had known how bad her ankle was. There's one point where, like, her ankle, she's been walking on a broken ankle for, 12 hours or something?
I mean, it was hit by a crossbow bolt, so I'm gonna say maybe not broken. Oh, maybe not broken,
but it was definitely infected. It was swelling. It was not okay. And she, the people who picked her up out of her makeshift raft on their own boat, they looked at her and said, "Clearly you're injured. We think it'll be fine. We want to get our fish in for the day. We understand you're being pursued, but you seem to have lost them. You know, we'll get our fish and then we'll take you to our village." And they thought that would have been fine. But then there's a point in the book, so the people pursuing her catch up, but then there's a point after they're kind of trying to outrun her pursuers, where the people on the boat realize how bad her ankle is. And they kind of talk to each other like, oh, if we had known, we would not have waited. And, that's kind of a pretty big deal. It actually affects her health and her life. It's put on the path to healing slightly later in the story. And she's told, don't stress it, don't walk or run if you have to, be very, very careful or you'll lose your leg. And she says, okay, but realize I will do what I have to, and does not even attempt to avoid or mitigate stress on it in any way. And she does end up actually losing her foot. There's nothing that they can do.
Because it was, to her, more important to get this message.
Mm-hmm.
Than to worry about her foot.
And it is important to note here that she is being magically pursued. This is not completely a case of just deliberately endangering her health. There are legitimate reasons where she needs to not stop and keep moving and keep running and go on that dangerous path to pull them away from the kid. There's legitimate reasons for what she does, the way she does what she does. But the thing that we're kind of looking at here is all of those things are totally things that she could have accomplished, while also saying, I am in pain. This is something that's happening to me. Please look at my ankle while I'm on your boat, and please get me to land now. Please don't wait. And she instead goes, okay, after the day is over.
And when she is explicitly asked, like, how's your pain? Or,
Yeah.
like, you know, do you feel sick?
Yeah, multiple times.
Yeah, she plays it off, or, you know.
Yeah, she doesn't even play it off. She doesn't even play. She just says, I'm okay. And it's not a ploy. She legitimately looks at herself and says, this is fine.
Well, I don't know. Because there's a bit where Sabriel asks, you know, is the pain bearable? And she says, pain is nothing to the Athasc. She paused, then added more truthfully, but there is less than there was.
That is true. There is that. That's true. There's that moment.
We definitely get in the text there being a difference between how she feels and the cultural expectation to not say that you're hurt. It's not like she feels less pain. It is that culturally she doesn't express it.
Right. She's not ignoring it. She is deliberately
not passing on it. She's not passing the knowledge of it on to anyone else.
Right. And I just want to pull back to something Robin said before we started recording. So we write out our own, like, shorthand notes for what we're going to talk about. We don't totally go into this unprepared, you know? Mm-hmm. And I had started the notes before Robin got here. And I had written for this section, Farron, treating physical pain and injury as something to be endured without visible signs of distress. And that description of it, what did you say, Robin?
I said, next time, just at me. Like...
And it's funny because I also do this.
What we're trying to get at is we have a specific perspective on this being a sign of trauma in a particular way, whereas I don't know how obvious this would be. And if you're feeling like this doesn't seem like something to talk about in your book about trauma, our point isn't that she's very stoic or something.
No.
The point is that when you have a message, your entire, the reaction of, my pain doesn't matter, it is literally less important than anything else, and if I'm asked, it's like, oh yeah, I guess that is there. It's just, it's not necessarily that the specific pain that she's ignoring is the trauma, though there is that as well in these books, but also just the implied... This is one where it's like, it's hard to untangle, like, how much is implied by the author and how much it's like, oh, this is a thing, the stoicism is a thing, but for us it implies this weight of years of it not being taken seriously.
Well, and more than just not taken seriously, yeah.
Like, cultural, like, not allowed to talk about it. And that not being able to talk about things hurting, that is a kind of trauma.
Yes.
And so we just, you know, since this was, like, a little bit of a weird one, we wanted to go ahead and say, hey, like, nope, that's totally a thing. It's definitely a thing. And it's, you know, she describes it as being a cultural norm, and we don't get specific evidence of that other than her saying, but taken writ large, we have an entire people where, you know, don't discuss or show pain, and it's just moving on. And it's again, we're about to get into her growing up and how it was different from other people in her tribe, so it is hard to know if it was this extreme for other Athasc, or whether the severity of it is a little bit more just on her.
And it's also, I just one final, like, I guess, thought with that is, it's very comparable to say, and again, we're going to get into this in a second, but it's very comparable to say that her upbringing makes it more important that she doesn't show anything negative about herself, including pain.
Right.
And also when she says it's cultural, I think it's important to note that there is a lot of trauma inflicted on people that is cultural.
Right.
And sometimes that trauma is, that being cultural is as simple as, I mean, there's, you know, we live in the US. We're Americans. There are certain subsets of culture in America that stress self-sacrifice or that your pain is unimportant because you can't inconvenience other people or you're not taken seriously.
And we say subset, we mean anything from a household to a cultural group, just like it's...
Yeah. And sometimes it's the culture at large looks at certain minorities and says, your pain is less important. It can be as small as a family. It is as big as the country targeting individuals. And so we definitely think...
Just because the trauma's cultural doesn't mean it's not trauma.
Yes. Yeah. The two are not mutually exclusive. Yeah, the two are not mutually exclusive at all. Okay, so moving on to Farron as the offering. Let's talk about her name. Farron doesn't have a name.
According to her people, she doesn't have a name. She doesn't get to have one. She informally got the nickname, it sounds like from like a cousin or a childhood friend or something.
Well, she didn't have any friends. This was a cousin who was a child.
Sorry, a cousin who was a child. Called her Farron, which was a corruption of the word offering. And she is meant to be a perfect example of the tribe, a perfect physical specimen, just totally ready, like able to be a warrior, so that when Clore needs a new body, she can be killed and become Clore's new body. I'm not sure if she gets killed or exactly how that works, but her individuality would be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I figure it's kind of like the free spirit battle that we get set up for in Clariel, where whoever wins is in charge, but like none of the offerings are going to beat Clore in a willpower face-off.
And she is supposed to be dead because after Clore... the reason I don't think they get physically killed is because Clore got physically killed, came back as a greater dead spirit.
Oh yeah, no, they're. I don't think that they're.
And so now she no longer can use all those other offerings. Farron is not the only one. Every tribe had to have one.
Well, it's also specifically stated that the bodies age and then decay. And we've also kind of seen that when dead spirits take over dead bodies, those bodies decay incredibly rapidly, even when the spirit is not super powerful. And when they are super powerful, it's worse. They're not lasting for 20 years, and Clore's bodies are.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, taken over. How literally dead they are in these books is something it doesn't go into. I mean, we've got like 9 gates of dead, so there's a lot of ways to be dead without being dead.
That's true.
Being in death without being dead. But anyway, so when Clore can't use these bodies anymore, all the tribes are directed to kill their offerings. And Farron, her tribe, doesn't kill her, and they send her with this message, and that's the thing she's got to deliver, and that's what she, it's more important than her foot, and, the stuff that we discussed earlier. She grows up to be a sacrifice, to be killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it ties into and exasperates the cultural pressure that pain doesn't matter that we discussed earlier. But, she's got stuff above and beyond the rest of her tribe. Because she has to be perfect, but she doesn't get to benefit from it, if that makes sense. I know that probably sounds a little, weird or selfish or something, but it's
It's true, though.
Yeah, if someone, gets to be super awesome at a thing... Hopefully it's because they like it, and they at least get the benefits of being good at it, if there are benefits to be had. She specifically, doesn't. She has to be, strong and good at archery, or whatever, so that when Clore uses her body, Clore is strong and can do whatever physically. Do you have more thoughts with this?
I think that, yes. I think a big part of this trauma, all of the trauma, because they can't harm her body, it has to be perfect. It's all very psychological, and I think it's important that she has no identity. her whole identity is to die for her people. And I think that it's especially, I mean, there's a million examples of what happens when you're not allowed to have an identity, or even just you're not allowed to identify with something that is true about you. And so we see, never just like straight out, but there's very much evidence to support in the book that Farron sees herself as a sacrifice. And kind of as we discussed in our second topic, she sees herself as a sacrifice so much to the point that losing her foot is fine, because if she did it for her people, then it's okay. Right. She would have lost her whole body. What is a foot compared to her life? I actually think it's really cool. So this was something that, again, we kind of talked about this ahead of time, but we didn't talk about this related to this topic. Robin just kind of mentioned it. Farron actually ends the book interested in Sam, potentially romantically.
Oh, no, but no. Okay, to be clear, because I don't know if you missed this. They are going to do it.
No, they are
going to do it within 10 minutes of the book being over.
But my point is, like, Farron has nothing that is for her, and in the book, she gets a potential romantic partner. I say potential because I'm not equating romance to sex.
Okay, true.
But and also potential romantic partner implies long term and not just you're hot.
She's been giving signs. She's been giving signs that she likes him on more than just a sexual level.
That's fine.
They were there.
That's fine.
But
I'm saying, like, as far as like that's the kind of thing that people do when they see a future for themselves and they expect to live.
Okay. Yeah.
Her whole life,
if she didn't see a future for herself, she would have tried to do it the night before the big battle. She does see a future, and so she wants to do it after.
And not only that, like, she wants to live. She cares about living. She cares about existing after whatever. And that's something that her entire life she has been told is not for her. She will be hopefully chosen by Clore, and until then, she sits around and waits. And I just think it's really important to highlight that she doesn't end the book in suffering. She ends the book making decisions about things that she wants that implies that she expects to be around for a long time. And that's important. Farron is self-sacrificial, not suicidal, and I think it matters, basically.
Okay, yeah, that difference. She doesn't want to die, she just didn't think she was going to get to live.
Yes. There we go. That's the summary that I was looking for words for. So yeah, I think that matters. Welcome to our wrap-up and ratings. Let's get into it.
Gratuity. Alright, Mogget. Backstory, off-screen, and a little bit mild.
I would go...
Or is it backstory, off-screen, and severe? We could also go that way.
We have to go with what is physically in the book, and the severe things are not physically in
that's true.
The book.
Okay.
So, backstory, off-screen for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But enslavement is not mild is the problem.
That's why I was saying severe.
Okay. All right.
Right. It's either backstory, off-screen, or you have no free will, and we watch him struggle with trying. Like, he doesn't even get to look like what he wants to look like.
Okay,
we mentioned that he has severe. 2 name forms.
Yeah.
The cat, and, gonna use the term from the book, it's an albino dwarf. That's how it's said in the book. So, and it's hard to know whether that means fantasy dwarf or what we might more appropriately call little person. I don't know. The book literally says albino dwarf. But anyway, he that form was forbidden to him, and in order for him to use it, the Aborson has to give him specific permission to get to use it in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about Sabriel only having let him do that, like, a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he eats fish in both forms. Like, we don't have any doubt about him. It's not like he's coerced into liking fish or something. But I think his love for fish is the only, like, genuine thing that is him that we get in the books. And it's hard to even know how much of that is he just we don't know how that started. We don't know how far back he likes it. We just know at the point that we meet him that he likes fish is the most genuine expression we get.
Yeah.
And then he spends, 4 books with his will being subsumed. So...
Okay, so yeah, severe. Moving on to Farron.
I would say this one's a little bit tricky because the description is mild, but if that's a thing that resonates with you, it'll hit hard.
Yes.
So it's mild and that it won't inflict.
Moderate. It's not moderate. It's either mild or severe, depending on your reading of it. But it's written to be mild.
It's written to be mild, but if it resonates, it's gonna suck. So,
yeah, my description of it hit Robin.
Yeah,
yeah,
it just having that summarized that way, and Farron growing up to be sacrificed. I would say
it's kind of the same.
Yeah, backstory and moderate. Because it's definitely backstory.
Yeah.
And then we mostly see like the impact of that. Like it's like it's in her
we don't
name.
See it.
Right. But we see the effects, and the effects are moderate. They're pervasive, they totally affect her.
Mm-hmm.
It's every time she says her name, like it's right there.
Her
now,
name.
I don't think it's gonna traumatize a reader, but if you're someone who has to be the shining example of your family, it's probably gonna resonate.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's a magical analog, but this one, there's not a whole lot of magic involved, and so it's pretty close. Hopefully you're not, gonna be sacrificed to a witch when you turn 20 or something.
Yeah, like that's hopefully not something that will resonate, but you never know.
If it does, please let us know. We'll get you a helpline.
Yeah, we've got resources for you. Why this trauma? Mogget is integral. He is like his it's not replaceable. It's not irrelevant.
Yeah, the most you could do is have it be expressed in different ways, but the underlying trauma that runs through the book is consistent. Like, it wouldn't have had to have been that a form is prohibited to him. It could have been something else.
There could have been other things, but, like, if he wasn't there, these books would not have happened.
Yeah, but not the core of it.
Right. Farron's physical suffering and ignoring it. This is also... See, I feel like...
It's not integral.
It's not...
It's the meet cute.
What? How?
Wait, do you know what a meet cute is?
I do, but I don't understand how you think it's that.
She has to lose her foot so that she and Sam can spend hours in a workshop together.
This is not a podcast about the romance in the books. Excuse you.
I feel like I need one where Heather and I talk about the romance in all the books, and then you and I talk about all.
I'll come on as a guest and just be confused the whole time. It'll be great.
Yeah. But, so what I'm saying...
I'll just say I'm sorry I wasn't reading it correctly every 10 minutes.
Interchangeable. Because it is relevant to the plot, but in a way where that didn't have to be... She didn't have to lose her foot, but the reason she loses her foot is so that she can spend a bunch of time with Sam.
Hi, Kat. No, Robin, that's not why that happened. No.
Nikki, that's...
I disagree.
I feel like you've missed major plot points if you don't think that's why.
I don't think Garth Nix is that kind of author. Excuse me. I disagree. No, okay. Let me pull it back and point out something else, though. You're focusing on the foot. We are talking about all of the physical suffering that she ignored. Hunger, exhaustion, being attacked, being hit by arrows, not just in the foot. The undead coming after her, climbing up that shale and could have died at literally any second, and also, like, is getting cut up by rocks and blasted by fireball, and she just moves on.
What I would say is...
This is not about the foot.
okay, alright, I was a little bit tongue-in-cheek. My point with the foot is the general shape is integral, the details are interchangeable. That was my point.
Okay, yes, I do agree with you there. I just want to, I know that you're being kind of tongue-in-cheek. I just want to make sure our listeners realize that, like, especially the listeners who didn't listen to that part and skip to our ratings, that it's not just about a foot, it is about all of the stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but the details could have been swapped out without it changing the general picture.
Okay,
but
yes,
you needed that general picture for the story.
Yeah, I concur.
And I was just saying that the most severe of those things, even the most severe of them for this section, could have been swapped out.
Okay.
Because the reason she loses a limb is so that he can make her a limb. So that they can spend bunches of time together in a romance implied after the book. Like that.
Okay. Alright.
They've been Sam doesn't have anybody and Sam needs a relationship. They've been doing that since Lyriel. Like, this, for me, this arc has been building for, like, 3 books, because it doesn't build at all in Clariel.
I'm not saying that that is wrong. I'm just saying that I don't think that's why she lost a foot. That's all.
Okay.
Hold on. 1 second.
Alright.
Okay, anyways, moving on.
Alright, and then growing up to be sacrificed is integral to the plot.
Absolutely integral, not irreplaceable,
now,
not interchangeable.
The change could have been she didn't have to be the one who was supposed to be the sacrifice.
Yeah, but that would change the story.
Oh yeah, that would change so many implications.
That would not, Robin. I argue that is wrong, because she had the charm literally buried in her body as a sacrifice, as an offering. That was how they found Clore. It could not have happened with anyone else.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's how they found Clore. So, it had to be her. The amount to which it's interchangeable is it didn't have to be her of all the people, but, you know, that it needed to be one of the people who was supposed to be Clore's body.
I mean, it could have been a different offering.
Yeah, that's the degree of interchangeability, which is not a lot.
That's not really interchangeable. That's just putting different characteristics on a character.
Yeah. Alright. Was the trauma treated with care? In general, yeah. Yes? Not...
Mogget, I would say treated with, gentle kid gloves soaked in Clorox so the blood doesn't stick.
Yeah, like, delicacy. just like little drips of, like... of, like... I don't know, just kind of the way if you're, like, trying to, you know, figure out if it's cool to talk about something stressful with people, you just, like, drop in just, like, a comment about, like, a thing, and then how much they jump tells you whether you can say more things. That is what's happening in these books with Mogget.
And to be clear, not happening from Mogget, happening with the author. The author is subtly dripping pieces in the conversation that we are having as a reader with him through the book and saying, hey.
Yeah. So it's done artfully. It's done...
Oh, it's done very tastefully.
Yeah. Farron, I don't feel like it's extreme with Farron, with the physical pain and injury thing. That it's very stark. Pretty blunt.
I think it was necessarily blunt. And it's not graphic, is the other thing.
Oh, sure, not graphic.
But I think the lack of care there was intentional and necessary. But I'm going to say enough, because it was not graphic. It was not written in a traumatizing way for a reader, but it was definitely written without any extra care. But again, like, I think that was necessary. I think that the impact and the understanding of exactly what it is that's happening would not have been there,
right,
if it had been treated with more care.
Growing up to be sacrificed. I would say that's enough.
Yeah.
Because it's such like a big idea in the book that talking about it less doesn't work. It wasn't talked about
and
to the point of
talking
being
about it less
overkill.
explicitly also doesn't work.
Right. Yeah, you need, like, here's why someone would keep going even after they lost a foot to get this message, because not giving the message is worse. Alright, point of view.
Point of view of the trauma.
We never get it through Mogget's eyes.
We do.
We always...
Don't we in Clariel?
No, we see Clariel seeing Mogget. We never get, like, Mogget looking at Clariel.
Oh,
so, with Mogget, what we get is different people seeing him in more and less constricted forms and modes. And Clariel feels like she sees the truest Mogget, but by the time we get that, because of where Clariel is in the narrative versus the release order, we've already seen a different, truer Mogget, and I feel like with those books back to back, we get how Mogget was before he had somebody who cared about him as a friend. In this case, I mean Sam. We get Mogget before he has a friend, and when he just has people he's manipulating. And then we get him after he is a friend. But he's still, like, very much a cat about it. Because it's like... And because Sam's like, you didn't help at all. And he's like, I helped a little. You know, don't screw up the river.
I helped enough.
And then he
this
leaves.
is fine.
Yeah.
I did my part, which was show up, eat a fish, yell at people for disturbing the river, and
well,
then...
in this case, he showed up, got mad about fish, and left. Like, that's what he does. Also, that this was one of his... Okay, we'll talk about later.
No, you keep going.
No, I was gonna say that, you know, him having favorite rivers. So, with this, with the point of view... we get other people looking at him. Now, Aftermath, this book is the aftermath of his trauma, and I'm really glad that he showed up so that we get Aftermath and we don't have the last thing being, Mogget, be free. Oh, remember back when you weren't free.
Remember back when you were treating people better or worse, I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point of view for Farron enduring things. We get her perspective. We get her narration. We follow her pretty closely. The style. I mean,
she's the main character.
Yeah, I mean the style isn't first person,
right?
But given how close it gets to the characters' heads, we got into her head, and I think it was well but minimally described, and not a whole lot to say about that one. And then with growing up to be sacrificed. We kind of get other people reacting to the implications of knowing that this is a thing, but not a whole lot of time spent on, and how did that make you feel?
Accurate.
Now, not that I necessarily think that Farron would have engaged in that, but part of why she probably wouldn't have is because she doesn't think her life matters individually. So, for that point of view, it's definitely not quite her. Like she says it, but when she says it, she's not really concerned about her. She's concerned about the witch with no face is doing these things. Oh, and if you didn't read the book, the witch with no face is what Farron's people call Clore the Mask.
That's a pretty early on. That's not a spoiler at all. It's just like the beginning. All right. So now...
Aspiring writer tip. Do you have one?
Aspiring writer tip. I'm trying to think. It's hard when these books are so long. Or, I'm sorry, when the series is so long to, like, and it's all the same characters, it's not different people.
Well, okay, but going off of that, like, Mogget's story gets told over the 5 books without ever having to have him as the point of view character.
That's true. We get
a bit where he, like, tastes the charter mark on Nick's forehead. Like, that is...
Was that him?
We have, like... Yeah.
I thought that was the dog.
That was the dog. You're right, that was the dog. Yeah, we get the dog's perspective.
Is the walker.
Yeah, we never get Mogget's... We never get we never really follow Mogget. The closest we come is we follow him for like 30 seconds before Nick finds him, or Sam finds him, or somebody. Anyway, that's not in this book.
He finds Sam and Lyriel
in a Borson when he's going through the woods and they're at that battle. Anyway, so aspiring writer tip: don't keep the plot threads of the minor characters.
Yeah, don't let them get lost. I like that as a writer. I like that as a tip. Like, if you have, you don't have to, I guess going off of that, like, you don't have to have them be the main character for their story to matter and get told.
Yeah. It's part of why we have our minor character spotlight.
Yeah. And Mogget's is, and also, you don't have to give away the story up front. And we might want to make that our tip in a later time, but I just appreciate how Mogget's story is actually told. All right. Favorite non-traumatic thing about this book?
When, the bandolier shows up on Lyriel's chest, and then Nick opens it, or when the extra pouch shows up, and then Nick opens it and pulls the dog out by, her ear or something.
I'm a fan of that.
Oh, wait, that pouch, we had earlier that Lyriel had added that pouch so that the statue could be there. Nick was just like, bells, there's 7 of them, right? Why is there an 8th? What's going on?
So look,
the pouch
here.
didn't really appear, but just...
No, the pouch didn't appear, but...
My favorite non-traumatic thing about the books, and the series in general, starting with Lyriel, is when the dog appears, she's going in and out of being that soapstone statue.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
And it's it's always done in some weird, cool way. She's grabbed by an ear and expands into a dog. Just stuff like that.
Yeah. Or she squirms, I think, out of Lyriel's coat on her own at one point.
Yeah.
Oh no! Lyriel had thought she was unsummoned forever. Lyriel reaches into a pocket. It's so good.
Well, because she reached for her clockwork mouse and she found the dog or something. Just
what's this?
How the dog just does that.
My favorite non-traumatic thing about this book, this book specifically, I mean, I guess going back to Mogget, I like that we see him free. I appreciate that. I realize that I think Mogget has been my favorite thing in 3 of these books. But also Mogget is my favorite character in general. And I don't know. I appreciate that when I was in high school and the first 3 books were the only ones that existed, we didn't get this part. And I like it. Just, I think, like I said last episode, that we didn't get to see Mogget acting under his own power, kind of, which we did in Clariel. And so now we see him literally acting as his own agent under his own will. And that is definitely my favorite thing.
Yeah. All music used in this podcast was created by Nicole as Heartbeat Art Co. and is used with permission.
You can follow us on Twitter at Books That Burn, all one word.
You can email us with questions, comments, or book recommendations at booksthatburn@yahoo.com.
Support us on patreon.com/booksthatburn. All patrons get access to our upcoming book list and receive a one-time shout-out.
You can leave us an iTunes review. This helps people to find the show.
And find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks.